Welcome to the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur. My name is Rita Perez. Hello. I've been a travel advisor for over 10 years and am navigating this winding road of entrepreneurship with you. I created this podcast because I wanted to share all the things I've learned from leaders both in and out of our industry that I really wish I would have known way back then. But alas, the important thing is I'm aware of them now, and I want you to be too. Ready for this week's show? Let's jump in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. So nice to have you here for another week. And we have another wonderful special guest with us today. Emily Matras is the owner of Bon Vivant Copy, a copywriting and content marketing studio that helps travel professionals create profitable, sustainable businesses. She shows travel pros how to write their way to more and better travel clients through the psychology of selling. With a background in marketing, journalism, and travel, Emily brings an expert perspective on how to stand out in the travel industry today. She shared her expertise with thousands of travel pros through leading industry organizations like the Travel Institute, Gift, Travel Weekly, Classic Vacations, and the Romance Travel Forum. Welcome, Emily.
Hi, Rita. Hi. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I am so excited that you're here as well because, and I may have said this in one of the sessions with you, that I have never written as well as I ever have since high school after working with you on my own rebrand a couple years ago.
That's so good to hear. That's, I work with a lot of travel agents. I work exclusively with travel agents, but a lot of them hate the writing portion so much. And I feel like you really embrace it. And so it's really nice to hear how much you're enjoying writing again. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. And I always try and keep like certain things in mind that you've taught me from the course.
Good.
Have an offer. Yeah. So I know when I first met you, it was through a gift event. I think it was Travel Entrepreneurship Week. And when they brought up copywriting, I was like, copywriting? I'm like, what the heck is copywriting? So can you give us like a brief synopsis of what copywriting is and why we should know about copywriting?
Sure, absolutely. So first things first, I do copywriting, WRITE, not RIGHT. That is like a whole nother thing. I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you how to patent a product or anything. So when I say copywriting, and I get that question a lot, like, oh, what law school did you go to? Nope, didn't do that. So copywriting is, it's marketing writing, right? And I make a slight distinction between copywriting and then content writing, which I can explain really quickly. Basically, I think of copywriting as writing that you do to spur someone to take a specific action. So for example, writing all of the text on your website, I would classify as copywriting because you should be writing all of that with an end goal in mind of getting your web visitor to reach out to you, right? That's the action you want someone to take. Slightly different is what I would call content writing, where the main goal is to really build and nurture a relationship with your audience. You probably do want people to reach out to you as a result, but the main goal is relationship building. And so that is typically your e-newsletter, your blog posts, often your social media posts. So copywriting in my mind is like a little more strategic and a little more focused on using sales psychology to push folks to take a specific action. Does that answer your question?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Perfect.
And I think that's such an important thing, especially now, because you can't just write a post to be like, look, this pretty beach. Call me if you want to go to this beach.
Right. You really want to think through what your end goal is. How can you push someone to take a specific action? How can you really build a relationship with your reader? And if like everyone else is writing the same type of content, well then how, that's not going to get you anywhere. If everyone else is writing, top 10 places to visit in Italy, the same way without like a unique perspective, your content isn't going to do much for you.
So going on to the content, what are some buzzwords that travel entrepreneurs should or should not be using in the content that they're producing?
Sure. So one of my favorite words, and this is kind of a funny one, is get, G-E-T. And some of my clients push back when I use this word in their copy because it feels really casual. But the truth is, it's sort of like a power word because everybody likes to get things. Getting things is easy, right? It implies that you don't have to work for it at all. So for example, on your website, if you had like a little place for folks to sign up for your e-newsletter, often on your button, it might say something like subscribe here, right? And that word subscribe implies work, right? You have to like fill out a form or you have to do something in order to get on the list, right? But what if that button instead said get on the list, or something that required or something that implied like ease and like an instantaneous reward, right? I would recommend, going that route. So the word get is really, really attractive and sort of like a magical word when it comes to copy.
And such a simple word.
It's such a simple word. Yeah. So try it in your copy, particularly on like buttons, that people have to click, and see if that ups how many people are clicking on them. One other word I would want to chat about, which is kind of controversial, is the word free, right? Okay. A lot of travel agents feel like this is kind of a dirty word to use in their marketing because they don't want to come across as, cheap. They don't want to attract folks who are only concerned about price or budget. Yeah. And I really respect that, and I'm mindful of that. And I think that's a very real concern. I don't think, if your goal is to not attract price shoppers, I don't think you should be leading your messaging with the word free in like big, bold letters. That doesn't need to be showing up in like the headline on your website, for example. However, the word free, kind of like the word get, is sort of like a power word. It's really, it's magnetic. Everybody likes free things, even rich people. Everyone likes to get something for nothing. So I think you don't necessarily have to excise the word free from your vocabulary, just use it strategically. So maybe you could try, instead of calling it your complimentary planning session, maybe it's your free planning session. Or even better, if you're creating like an opt-in offer that you're advertising, promoting to get people to join your list, make sure you're calling it free guide, free whatever it is, because that's gonna lure people in. And again, free in this context won't only attract the price shoppers or folks who are really conscious about budget, because everyone likes free things. So just be really careful about where you use the word, but it can be really powerful.
So even use free over complimentary, because I have everything with complimentary. So I'm like,
I know. And I use the word complimentary a lot in my clients as well. And I think it kind of comes down to your brand personality and your tone of voice. Okay. If my clients have like more of a sophisticated brand personality, I might choose the word complimentary. If they're more casual, fun, a little more youthful, maybe I might use the word free in that specific context. But okay. Even if they're more sophisticated upscale brand, I use the word free often when promoting like their opt-in offers, for example.
Okay. All right. And so then going from these buzzwords, what are kind of like some content formulations that are kind of like attention grabbing, like this plus this equals wow?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I was thinking about this before we chatted. And I think the one I would just share right now for your audience is a really simple one that folks have probably heard before. And it's like it's the elevator pitch formula, right? We do X for Y so that Z. We do X for Y so that Z. Whereas X is what you do, right? The type of travel you plan or your specialty, and then Y is your target audience, the specific type of traveler you want to work with. And then Z is like the big outcome, right? So for example, it might be like, we plan effortless, all-inclusive escapes for busy families who want to finally take time to make memories together, right? And I wanted to share that because I think it's a really great way to instantly clarify exactly what you do and who you serve, which is so important. Like, it's nice to be flashy. It's nice to be attention grabbing, but the most important thing you can do as a travel advisor is be really, really clear on who you're trying to attract. So that formulation is not just great as an elevator pitch. It's actually great to be used as an opener on your homepage, for example, underneath your headline. If you're struggling with how to start your homepage, if you feel all this pressure to be like cute and clever and attention grabbing, set that to the side and just use this elevator pitch as your opening line, right? It's also a great way to open professional bios you have, or the bios on your social media sites, like on the Facebook story profile portion. It's all about leading with clarity. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now that you've said that, you said social media profile, and I started to think of LinkedIn, because I have more of a LinkedIn client. So I'm like, okay, I need to brush that up a little bit then.
Yeah.
Then the other thing I thought about is that you're so true that you can put that on your website, because especially from the story brand team, they are big on clarity. And that's one of the things that they mention, like, can you pass the grunt test? So if a caveman was looking at your website, can they go, okay, I can.
Yeah. You've got like 5 seconds to capture someone's attention when they land on your website, right? So if it's not immediately clear that you can help someone just like them, they're probably going to X out. So having a really clear opening line like that cuts right to the chase, right? And then one thing I would emphasize is you really need that Z part, right? The big promise. It's not just about what you do. It's not just about who you serve. It's about what they really get out of working with you. And I would, encourage travel agents to think beyond simply the surface level benefits, like saving time, saving money, that kind of thing, and really dig deep into what your ideal client's true desires are. So like in our example, it was like finally making time to make memories as a family, right? That's like a deeper desire beyond simply saving time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And especially for me, I'm a single girl, so I don't have a family, but that even gravitates to me. I'm like, I like what that person is saying. I know for myself, I have been trying to clarify my own message, because I was big into just group cruising, and now I've kind of niched my own travel business to cruise ship retreats. The Strategic Travel Entrepreneur is brought to you by Mailbox Power. Harness the power to attract and nurture your clients through something many entrepreneurs have forgotten about: the mailbox. Create beautiful custom campaigns and automate annual mailings for birthdays and holidays. And with a pro account, get access to mailboxes not currently on your mailing list that are just waiting for the travel service you offer. Visit my Mailbox Power affiliate link in the show notes to get started today and support this podcast. So my who is corporate decision makers and small business entrepreneurs. And what do I do? Plan cruise ship retreats. And the why, the immediate why, is obviously because it increases retention. But like you were saying, I need to dive deeper. And really what it is that you're looking for a transformation in people, and like big pictures you're looking to change the world. So that's something on my messaging and I guess strategy that I'm working on myself personally to like really what's going to grab them.
Yeah, because even though that formula sounds really simple, and it is simple, it has a really strong emotional appeal when you make sure you hit that Z element, the big Y at the end.
Yes. Yeah, totally. And I mean, one of my friends who they're in the food industry, they just redid their messaging too. And the first one, I was like, I don't really know why this is important. They gave me their second one, and I'm like, yes, that's what it is. It was just so exciting.
Right. You know when you nail it. You know when you've nailed your messaging, when you get that kind of reaction, particularly from like your ideal clients, the folks you're trying to reach.
Yeah. And then lastly, I mean, we all know that we're still in COVID times, even though I feel like we're a little
right
heading in the right direction. And I know a lot of people are hesitant about posting different things about travel because we have this crazy travel shaming that's going on now too. So how can people in their content word things that will still attract the people who are like, I need to get out of here?
Yeah, that's it's a tough one. It's a tough one for sure. I think it's starting to become a little easier because I think like we have that light at the end of the tunnel. At least I'm hoping, right? And and so I think now folks are starting to think about travel again, whether it's travel this year, maybe not, but they're starting to like dream again, right? So I think travel agents can capitalize on that, like, you know, simply starting off a posting, starting to dream again about where to go next. And then, I don't know, you can go in tons of different directions with that. But I would say there's like two big messages that travel agents can really hit in terms of attracting clients or getting their audience to at least start thinking about them, right? Number one is that, okay, you haven't traveled really for the past year, right? So make that next trip like really big, like live it up. You know, it's time to forget, you know, those quick weekend trips. It's time to plan your bucket list trip, right? You've accrued time off, you've accrued hopefully, you know, vacation savings, and you don't really know how long you have of that, you know, in terms of being able to travel. That's something that the pandemic has certainly proven, right? So I think travel agents can certainly encourage their clients to dream big for this next big vacation. And then I think the other sort of message that travel agents should be hitting and really taking advantage of is, look, I think we can start dreaming, but it's complicated, right? It's a constantly evolving situation. You know, we don't quite know when we'll be able to travel. There's a lot of confusing entry requirements from country to country. There's a lot of confusing cancellation clauses at properties and cruises, etc. It's a lot to navigate on your own. You really need a pro to lead you all through this, right? There's absolutely a opportunity for travel agents to take the helm and say like, hey, look, it's confusing out there. It's constantly changing. You know, work with us to protect your investment, work with us to ensure that you know exactly what requirements you need to meet when you are ready to travel. Work with us so if things do have to be canceled, you know, you have someone who's going to work hard to get your refund back, right? I think, yeah, I think people do want to start dreaming about and planning travel again, but all of the constantly evolving situation and not quite knowing like when things will get back to normal is making people hesitant. And I think travel agents can really pick up the slack for the traveling public and really be leaders in this space. So those are sort of the two messages I would encourage folks to try to work into their content right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And the other thing I was thinking about, because I feel like some consumer wise might be thinking, well, everything's kind of shut down, so travel agents aren't probably working either. And so I think another message to add on top of that is to be like, yeah, I'm open. I'm ready. Yeah. I'm ready for business.
Yeah, I think for sure. And, you know, I've been hearing chatter from travel agents about how, because people have been cooped up for so long, there's going to be like rising demand possibly all at once. If you start planning earlier, you're going to get, you know, you'll have the most flexibility, the most availability, probably the best pricing. It pays to plan early if you're planning with a pro who can protect you. So I think that's another messaging. Like there are some good deals out there right now. You know, I don't want to encourage people necessarily to lead with like deal messaging, but you know, if you're willing to chance it, and again, willing to have a pro plan it for you, you can have a really amazing vacation.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point too, is that you identify who in your ideal client is this best for. Because I would say this is like right now, it's most best for people who like to fly by the seat of their pants and who are willing to take a risk and who are a little bit flexible.
Yeah, you have to be flexible. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not going to be for everybody, but and there's people that are looking, because I've seen lots of agents booking right now. So people are out there, and I know if I could, I'd be getting out there right now myself as well.
My fear is that, like, as soon as it is deemed quote unquote like safe to travel again, everybody's going to rush all in at once, right? But if you start planning now and sort of predict, okay, maybe it will be safe at this X date. Okay, maybe you're wrong and you have to cancel. But if you're right, man, you're going to be ready to go, and everyone's going to be jealous of you as you're taking off on the jet.
Yeah, because even in my own marketing for my travel business, I haven't even like mentioned anything with 2021, because in the cruise retreat aspect, you need all that time to plan. So I've already been saying 2022 and 2023, and I've added on, like, you need to start planning now, because cruise ship wise, space is going to be ultra limited, and people have had their vacations pushed back so much, they're rebooking that far in advance. So in order to like secure yourself a spot, because like you said, once the floodgates open, you might not have a spot to go on vacation as soon as you want to.
Yeah. And even if this were a normal year for some types of travel, it wouldn't be too soon to start planning for 2022, right? I mean, we're already into February 2021. Those winter vacations for the next year for certain destinations, planning should already be underway. So I think there's definitely an opportunity for travel agents to, if you've been like sort of holding back on making it known that you're open for business, I think you can sort of start putting those feelers out right now.
Yeah. So I know that you periodically run courses or special programs. Do you have anything coming up soon in the next few months that people should know about?
So sort of, kind of. So Rita, you took the travel agent website roadmap course, which is like a course that teaches you how to write your own website copy. So right now, folks can get on the wait list for that. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be closing that course down for probably 6 months, starting in March, just so I can focus on like the current cohort of students. So if this is something you're interested in or you want to learn more about, definitely hop on the wait list like now, so that I can maybe open the doors one more time before I close them for a longer period. And you can learn all about that if you go to my website, which is bonvivantcopy.com. And then I think under the like shop tab, there's a link to learn some more about that. So yeah, I'm sort of looking to scale that back and maybe bring it back later this year or even next year. So if working on your website is a priority, and you want to DIY it, but you want some guidance, definitely get on the list so you can get started before things close up.
And I highly recommend as a student of the course, taking it not only for your website, but I think a lot of the tools that you teach and bring out can be very versatile and used on multiple different platforms as well. Yeah, for sure. And that's because, the messaging you use on your website is really the foundation for all of your marketing messaging. So once you figure out what you're saying on your website, you can easily translate that over to all of your social media sites, your professional bios. It's really great. You get a lot of bang for your buck that way, because you can carry those messages throughout all of your platforms. Yes. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Absolutely.
Informative.
Thanks for having me.
Stuff, but I especially like the get and the free. Those are things I'll be implementing.
Yeah, they're like magical words.
Yeah.
I certainly love to get things, so I'm sure other folks do as well.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and everybody have a wonderful week.
Thanks, Rita.
Thanks for joining me on The Strategic Travel Entrepreneur. Please subscribe and leave a show rating on your favorite podcast platform. Oh, and don't forget to take a look at the show notes for important information and links. See you next week.